The UK government will announce new measures to stem a new wave of COVID-19 infections. It's reversing a call for people to return to the workplace. Those who can will be asked to stay home. At the same time, all pubs, bars, restaurants and other hospitality venues in England will have to close by 10 p.m. The UK's coronavirus alert level has been increased to the second highest. At level 4, it means that the transmission of the virus is high or rising exponentially. Government scientists have warned that there could be 50,000 new cases a day by mid-next month if no further action is taken. The Prime Minister has been speaking in Parliament. He is going to give a live televised address shortly to urge people to follow the rules.
These rules, these measures, will only work if people comply. And there is nothing more frustrating for the vast majority who do comply, the law-abiding majority, than the sight of a few brazenly defying the rules. So these rules will be enforced by tighter penalties.
Ollie Barrett joins us live from London for more on this story. Ollie, tighter measures, but it's not the full lockdown that some were anticipating.
That's right, not moving to a full national lockdown yet. At least it was an interesting combination from Boris Johnson of the tightening of restrictions in a way that was perhaps less strict than some people had been predicting a few days ago, but at the same time really adding in some toughness in terms of the way that all of this is going to be enforced. Boris Johnson saying that the military can be on support to help the police enforce these measures if needed, saying that there will be tougher fines for people who don't, for example, wear face masks when they are supposed to be. Also, pretty strict in terms of how long these measures might last for. Boris Johnson saying that unless the UK palpably makes progress on vaccines or treatments or new types of mass testing that aren't currently online, then he says we should all assume that these restrictions being outlined today will be in place for around 6 months. So as I say, an interesting balance between not moving to full lockdown, but also some pretty tough talking from the Prime Minister at times.
Ollie, quarantines and health measures, they've been taxing on everybody during this pandemic. But are people in the UK tired of the constant sort of changing restrictions?
I think there is a sense in which there is some sympathy for the government having to react as circumstances determine it. Clearly, the virus is moving at different paces at different times. We're now headed into the winter after a summer period in which the virus was at much lower levels. So I think there is some public sympathy for the government having to change tack every now and then on some issues. But certainly the government is also developing a bit of an unwanted reputation for U-turns. There have been a number of them over the course of the pandemic. Also, the government has previously admitted itself that it has found that the regulations have been confusing for the British public at times. That was why just a week or so ago we moved to the new so-called Rule of Six, Boris Johnson admitting that the messages needed to be simplified for the British public. So I think an awareness of that at government level. The polling also suggests that the British people don't necessarily object to U-turns if the government makes the right decision in the end. But as I say, it is certainly damaging for the government's reputation as those so-called U-turns stack up.
And Ollie, if things don't improve with these new measures, could the Prime Minister take more action? Did he talk about that?
Absolutely. Boris Johnson saying that he really wants to avoid another full national lockdown if possible, but that he will move in that direction if he needs to. And that was a key part of his address to the House of Commons and will be, I think, a key part of his address to the nation later on. That idea that if the British public cooperate, if they observe the guidelines that are in place, then the country should be able to get the virus under control. If they don't, and the virus continues to grow and hit some of those pretty depressing targets that the scientists are saying could be hit if the virus continues to move in the wrong direction, then Boris Johnson making no bones about the fact that he will have to move to a full national lockdown. But he says the balance is key here. He really wants to make sure that the economy can be kept open, stressing time and time again today in the House of Commons that schools, universities, businesses remain open while these new restrictions come in. He wants to make sure that economic growth isn't too badly hit by the new measures. But you're quite right. A full national lockdown, not off the cards if the virus continues to go in the wrong direction.
Well, success is going to be dependent upon that compliance that the British Prime Minister wants. Ollie, thank you very much for that. Ollie Barrett there, live in London.